Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for this community information session for the Hood Point Water System. I'm Sarah Baxter. I'm the Communications Coordinator for the Bowen Island Municipality. Also joining us from the municipality today, we have Kristen Watson, who is our Deputy Chief Administrative Officer as well as our Chief Financial Officer. We have Sarah Kasari, who is our Director of Engineering and Public Works. We have Gerrit Dance, who is our Utilities Operations Manager, as well as Annette Frischman, who is our Public Works Coordinator. Also joining us from Vancouver Coastal Health is Ross Adamson, who will be available to answer some questions potentially at the end. With regards to questions, if we will have a section after the presentation where people are free to, we'll have like a Q&A session. So if people could please hold their questions until then, that would be wonderful. Oh, Jesse, you need to mute. And so now I'm going to pass over to our Director of Engineering and Public Works, Sarah Kasari.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Sarah. As Sarah mentioned, my name is Sarah Kasari, and so today I'll walk through my presentation. I'm going to just share my screen with you. Just give me 1 second. So please let me know if you see my screen. Shoot.
Yes, Sarah, that's perfect.
Okay, wonderful. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about myself. I'm new with the municipality of Bowen Island. However, I have over 20 years of experience in engineering and project management. I hold my master's degree in environmental engineering from UBC with sub-specialization in water, wastewater, and engineering management. I spent more than a decade working as a design engineering consulting companies like Associated Engineering on water and wastewater treatment. So with that context, I'll walk you through what we have learned about the Hood Point water system, why this work is underway, the options being considered, and what the next steps look like. This is an information session, as you know, and no decisions are being made today. So I just wanted to start by setting the expectations. This morning is about sharing information and the context, not about selecting a solution or approving funding. We'll cover what we've learned, why action is being considered now, the range of options available to the municipality and the community, and what hasn't been decided, and what are the next step for us. So where we are, Hood Point is supplied by Honeymoon Lake, which is a surface water source and naturally rich in organic material, and the existing system includes media filtration, UV disinfection, and chlorination to keep water safe in the distribution system. What is important in this presentation and in this slide for us to understand is that this system was not designed to remove dissolved organic materials. This system continues to supply water, but conditions and standards have changed over the time. Like this building was from 1960s, so you can imagine how things are evolving now. So again, what we are in terms of the quality water as part of routine monitoring, we began to see elevated levels of disinfection byproducts, especially THMs and HAAs. They form from when chlorine reacts with natural organic matters in the source water. Concentrations now exceed the current drinking water guidelines, and expectations for treatment, safety, and resilience have evolved since the system was built in 1960. What we have learned, the municipality engaged urban system to help us better understand what is happening and what options exist. The key takeaway is that the source water has relatively high organic content, and the current treatment process does not remove that organic material. Uh, that combination explain why THMs and HHAs continue to exceed the guideline values. This review also looked beyond the water quality and examined the treatment facility itself. So the building is older, constructed of combustible material, does not meet current building code requirements, lacks permanent backup power, and is located in a wildlife prone, uh, you know, wildlife prone areas. These factors affected safety, resilience, and long-term reliability, not just the quality of the water. This is beyond the quality of the water. So there are really two related challenges that we are trying to address. First, as you know, is the water quality, reducing THMs and HAAs. Second is the system resiliency, ensuring the system can operate during the power outage, wildfires, and emergencies. So the options that we are going to present to you today address these challenges to different degrees. So how to think about these options before we get into the options, it is important to understand how to read them. These are plan level options and with cost ranges and not final designs or final prices. These are the order of magnitude prices. The options are not mutually exclusive, and interim solutions may form part of a long-term strategy for the system. So option one in engineering word, I call them Taj Mahal option. So it is full replacement of the treatment plant. This would address water quality, fire protection, wildfire resilience, backup power, operator safety, and long-term capacity. It is the most comprehensive option, and it also comes with the highest price tag. Uh, Again, this is order of magnitude cost with the construction market, and with other consideration. I think this range 2 millions to 2.5 million is an underestimate. Just keep that in your mind. Option two is just targeted organic reduction. The second option focuses specifically on water quality by adding a granule activated carbon treatment upstream of the chlorination. This work will reduce organic materials and help lower THMs and HAAs. However, it would not address the existing building deficiencies, fire resilience, and the backup power. The order of magnitude is between 1 to 1 million. The third option here, it's the phased option, phase approach for us. So what it works, this will start with GAG to reduce near-term risk, followed by replacement of the remaining infrastructure later. It can spread the capital cost over time, but it also introduces more operational complexity for sure for our operators and higher total life cycle cost. You may heard of package or containerized systems. These are factory-built systems designed for small communities. While they can be faster to install, they still require full foundations, power, HVAC, site work. So package does not really mean temporary or low cost.
That's heat recovery ventilation system.
So here, I just wanted us to reflect on what is not decided. I wanted to be very clear about what hasn't been decided. There is no preferred option selected, no funding approach approved, no construction timeline set. This work supports informed decision making, not conclusions. So what are the next steps? What are our recommendations? Our recommendations for next step is to slow down just enough to do this properly. We've learned our lessons in other water systems. So we wanted to make sure that we do this properly. That includes issuing a request for proposal to hire a consultant to plan and oversee pilot testing, including reviewing the supply line and associated risk. This work would allow us to test solutions, refine costs, develop a stage work plan, and return to council and the community before any decision are made. Before we close, I just wanted to flag a couple of longer term system consideration so there are no surprises in the future. The above ground water main from Honeymoon Lake is vulnerable to freezing during very cold temperatures. Uh, when that happens, we need to borrow water from Eagle Cliff water system. Long-term planning is needed to address this challenge. In addition, portions of the Hood Point system are served by water mains that are undersized for fire protection. And the existing water storage reservoir is also undersized for fire protection purposes. These are items that are not part of an immediate decision making this morning, but there are important considerations that need to be kept in mind as part of the long-term planning for your community. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions. If there are things that we don't know yet, I'll be clear about it and explain how they'll be addressed in the next phases of the work. So with that, I'm going to stop. Yeah, go ahead.
If people could use the raise hand function, I will make a list of questions as they come in, and I can I'll hopefully call on you all in order. I see, was that Leah? No. Maybe there's no questions at all.
I do have a question, and that's where's the raise hand function?
So, oh, I see. I'm sorry.
Good question.
Okay, so what was your question?
My question was, since when have these THM and H whatever levels been above the guidelines? When did they first test above guidelines?
Um, I can refer that to Annette, our public works coordinator, who's taking care of all our sampling. Annette, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
This has been, they have exceeded the guideline limits for several years now with fluctuations seasonally. So sometimes in the winter, the values are better than in the summer,
Yes.
depending on weather, but it's been for several years.
Okay, I would appreciate a follow-up that gives the date when it first exceeded guidelines, please. My understanding is the concern with these, the interaction of organics with the chlorine, that the chlorine is killing certain bacterias, but the chemical reaction is such that these two things that you're highlighting, they are cancer causing. So the question is, do the people who rely on the Hood Point water system, should they stop drinking their water because of the increased risk of cancer?
I would like to refer that to Ross, our specialist from VCH.
Hi there. Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Ross Adamson. I'm the drinking water officer with Vancouver Coastal Health. And yeah, Sarah invited me to the meeting today to, I guess, help answer some of these types of questions that might come up. So yeah, thanks for the question, Carol. So disinfection byproducts, there's not a ton of data, like conclusive data on them. But Health Canada, in an abundance of caution, has set maximum acceptable concentrations for them. The possible health effects are not totally clear, but yeah, you're right. They're listed as possible or probable carcinogens. So there's some, obvious concern with that, and that's why we're working with the municipality to ensure levels of these disinfection byproducts are lowered to as low as we can get them. But the thing to consider is that it's not, I don't think, really a day-to-day concern. It's really through a lifetime exposure of drinking the water, where I think there'd be more risk. So that's, I think, something to keep in mind. We did circulate a question and answer document back in 2024 once we realized that we were definitely over the guideline levels, and I'm not sure if that's still available on the municipal website.
Yeah, it is on the website.
Okay, and I think it does answer a lot of these kind of questions. Does it
Yeah,
answer?
I was busy with cancer surgery in 2024, so you can see I am concerned about this. I live here full time, so my question stands. How safe is the water? How safe is the water now for children? I mean, if there is a risk, if this is cancer causing, and you've known for several years that it's exceeded the guidelines, and now I understand this is an information session, but I do feel that, geez, why is it dragged on this long? And, what can be done in, I think you hear my concern, right?
Yeah, definitely. And there are some things that individuals can take, some steps they can take with their water to help, lower the risk, just in terms of like Brita style jug systems for their drinking water, at least. And that takes care of one route of exposure, through drinking the water. Obviously, disinfection byproducts can you can be exposed through, bathing and shower water and stuff like that. And, so you can install like whole home carbon filtration kind of thing to help lower the risk in your house as well. I mean, VCH, we want the water system obviously to treat the water for everybody, but if in the meantime, while the solution is, being
So are you saying that a simple Brita system eliminate or dramatically reduces these chemicals, these
Yes,
particular chemicals?
yeah, they will reduce by disinfection byproducts. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I'll let somebody else. I'll mute myself now.
Okay, thank you, Carol. Is there anybody else with questions?
Can I be heard? I'm not sure.
Stuart, yes.
Hi, Tom. Do you want to go first? I'll stand by.
No, go ahead, Stuart.
Okay. Sorry, I can't find the little hand to raise up either, but I just wanted about financing. So in the past, Hood Pointers were responsible for paying for their own water system. That was taken over a few years ago by a municipality. So when something of this magnitude comes along, are we going to be asked to have an increase in our water bills, or is it covered by general funds of the municipality?
Hi, Stuart. I can respond to that question. Hood Point is still a local service area. It's still funded and financed in the local service area model. So that means that all of the utility rates that you pay and the parcel taxes that you pay go into a special fund just set aside to fund, to finance repairs, maintenance, and long-term capital requirements of the Hood Point system. I can tell you at this moment there's just over $900,000 in the Hood Point Reserve. So there's some money there set aside. But whatever the final bill is, will be funded entirely by the Hood Point local service area property owners. If we have to go and do some long-term or 5-year kind of debt in order to pay for it, then you would see a change to that parcel tax in order to reflect the servicing costs of that borrowing. I hope that answers your question.
Partially. So let's take a broad view. Say the bill was 2.5 million and we've got 900,000 already. Approximately, what would that mean in terms of rate increases?
Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't done any of the math on that yet. I'm still waiting for some preliminary estimates of any kinds of costs. But as soon as we have some numbers, we will put some numbers together and I'll be able to get back to you with that kind of information. I'm sorry I didn't do any of that upfront today.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, Tom, I think was next.
Yes, I just a couple of things. The system, I don't know the exact date, 2001, we put the whole system underground, and Sarah referred to a system that was built in 1960s. And though that particular shed may date back to the 60s, the system, which is now 25 years old, it wasn't built in the 60s. I just want that to be understood. When the system was designed, Carol, the drains were put periodically in the system to deal with the chemicals you're concerned about, because they're typically, when there's chlorination, a byproduct of chlorination is those chemicals. And it's particularly difficult at Hood Point where there are, Stuart, what are there, 100? How many houses are participating?
About 85, I think.
85, under 100, very small system. And some people only turn up in the summer. So whole legs of the system are not used. The water sits there unused, and that precipitates more of these chemicals. So the engineers that designed the system in, I'm going to call it 2000, put periodic drains in the system to run water out. Those over time were shut down. And because we've been concerned about these chemicals, that's the advisory committee was concerned. The municipality has reopened up those drains. And the dates of I don't know what the current chemical readings are. Sarah, could you put up the second or third slide that showed the readings? I think they're from some time ago.
Sure. And this was shared with us by urban system. Let me just go back here. These numbers, 2023.
Yeah. So in 2023, maybe, we, the advisory committee, went to the municipality and said, these are over. Carol, there are reports issued every year, and they've been over for many years, like 10. And we were concerned, so we asked for those drains to be opened because we understood from the engineers that the drains would reduce these numbers. And I don't know what the more recent numbers look like. These are.
So Thomas, thanks for bringing this up. I'm wondering what drains are you referring to? Drains before the chlorination or after chlorination?
After the chlorination.
So
Sarah,
after chlorination,
Garrett,
yeah,
could you
I can
help
speak
us
to
here?
that. Yeah. It was pointed out that a few years ago that there was these drains on existing properties. It just looked like a little PVC pipe coming out of the ground, and it was flagged that those were designed taps to run the water. So we spent a summer doing just that, and we even added a couple extra ones. So I think we ran 7 to 8 taps. So the municipality collects from 2 sample sources, one on Hood Point Road down where Tom lives, and one at close to where it meets the Eagle Cliff water system. Those run all the time. So then we learned about these other taps, and we tried an experiment for an entire summer, running them at different velocities, running 5 at first, then up to 7. And what we realized, it didn't change the THM count at all. It actually increased it. So, and another challenge we have, is, so we tried a number of things. We tried flowing it harder. We tried flowing it less. We tried, because this is what we were told, that this was put in to eliminate this issue. The results didn't show that. And another problem with running all those sample taps is the Hood Point system is a very thirsty summer. As Tom mentioned, in the summer, we get a lot more residents there. So 50 gallons a minute, we basically have to produce. And with all those extra taps running, it was a challenge to keep up with the demand. So by shutting down those taps, we're currently running 3 of them. My point is, it didn't make a difference regardless of how much water we ran through those other taps. So there's a few other things we could try.
So Garrett, what you mentioned now absolutely makes sense. I don't think the running the taps after chlorination will make a huge difference in the amount of the THMs and HHAs because they are ready. The combination of the chlorine with the organic matters creates those chemicals, and they won't get away. They won't be removed by just opening a tap. What we need to remove is the organic matters, dissolved organic matters in the first place before chlorination.
Yeah, we even had the divers clean the intake to help with that. We had the tank cleaned for the first time in a couple of years. So we tried different measures just to see if any of them had an impact. And what we learned from the end result was no, it didn't. Neither did clearing the intake, neither did the tank cleaning, and
Those are
running
good
the taps.
measures.
Well, we
Yeah.
tried to do what we could
Yeah.
just to get a
Yeah.
template of going, okay, is anything here yielding a different result? And it clearly didn't. So then we started looking at the source and realized very quickly, well, no matter what we do, it doesn't change the source of the water. So unfortunately, the next effort is to, well, have this conversation that we're having right now. How can we go ahead dealing with this?
If I can say this, the municipality has been great in responding to. It's a shame we're gone, but the advisory committee brought this up, and Garrett and the entire municipality was great in trying everything, and nothing worked. So, Sarah, what do the other systems do about these THMs and HAAs?
So that's a very good question. Tom, different systems, they have different challenges, right? So for specifically for your water system in your area, the problem is the source water. It's organically rich. So if you look at the Grafton Lake is a different source. So we don't have, the problems are not the same across the board because we are dealing with different source of water.
Okay, and one last question. So what I take from this meeting is that you're going to hire someone to make recommendations.
So what we think is the best course of action is hiring someone, not just give us a recommendation, run a pilot test on the water, because like sometimes they just recommend you membrane system or ceramic system, whatever, and that wouldn't work until we do the pilot testing on the source water. The source water is very unique, and we need to do the pilot testing to see what will work. So it's not just the recommendation, it's the pilot testing, going through what you have, the systems that you have, and the water sources that you have, then pilot testing and find out if, GAG system, adding a GAG into your current system works better, or, a package system will make more sense. We are meeting with a couple of package makers in the industry to just start the conversations. Again, the first step would be the RFP plus looking at this pilot testing, if that makes sense.
Great. And that'll happen within 12 months?
So when we get the approval from the council, I have to go to the market and hire the consultants. And at that time, I can give you a better idea about the schedule.
Okay. And when are you going to go to the council?
February 17th is our council meeting. Yeah. And
Great.
Kirsten can give you a better idea about, what is the council approval.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, hi. We're going, and I do actually, Sarah, if you could put the link in the chat to get people to learn how to subscribe. If anybody hasn't subscribed, you'll want to subscribe to the municipal newsletter to get information about the important meeting dates that come up. So I do encourage everybody to sign up for that. But the meeting that's happening February 17th is our committee of the whole meeting for all utility systems. So we're going to be doing a detailed presentation on year-to-date results, the budget for going forward for 2026 through 2030 for each utility system. I will share with you that our budget for 2026 through 2030 at this point is just going forward in the same state that we have. We're recommending a further 4% increase to the utility rates for Hood Point, and contribution of approximately $50,000 to your reserve fund for the year. So there's no surprises in that budget. It's basically been a consistent measured increase of about 4% each year for several years now. So that budget then goes out to full public consultation. I believe the budget open house meeting is scheduled for February 28th. And then we'll draft the bylaw from there, and we hope to have it adopted in council in mid-April. So that will be when the final decisions about spending can be made once council approves the overall budget. Each of the utility budgets form a little piece together of a consolidated 5-year financial plan that the council approves all at the same time.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah, for sure.
I wonder if one of the options, or at least let me put it this way, why is one of the options not the installation of the water filtration system available commercially that you mentioned earlier in each household?
That was actually a conversation that came up at one point just in the interim, but then I think the oversight of the municipality having to be responsible for everybody, changing their filters when they're necessary, it's fine for people to do that. I don't know if Ross wants to chime in on this one.
I'm thinking about cost. I assume that would be a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, and Brita filters, they do work. It's activated carbon too, right? It does remove these byproducts.
Yeah, so asking the residents of Hood Point to pay $2.5 million, each person paying their share of that versus installing a water filtration system under the kitchen sink is going to be pretty dramatic. And I think people would want to know if that's a realistic option.
Can I answer that question, Christopher?
Please.
Yeah. So this is the municipality taking over each system in each household. It's not possible. Like, we are in the era that we are going through integration and having the systems more resilient toward the climate change, fire, and other solutions and other options that I mentioned here. They are not as expensive as the full replacement of the water treatment plant. However, your water treatment plant, it's old. Thomas mentioned that, yes, the building does not meet any building code. And, like, sooner or later for your community, it's better to look into the changing this facility and upgrading it to the BC building code. So basically, that $2.5 million that you mentioned is just one of the options, and it's not the only option. But taking over, let's say, 98 household filters is impossible for the municipality, considering the limited sources and limited people that we have to serve 7 water systems.
No, I understand that fully. But what I was wondering was, would it be at least, let's say, hypothetically possible for the residents at Hood Point to say, no, we don't want the municipality to make any improvements whatsoever. We as a community will take it upon ourselves to install these filtration systems in our own homes. And I'm not trying to say that that's the best option. I'm wondering if that's hypothetically possible. And if it is hypothetically possible, then I think it should be on the list for consideration.
One thing that I can make a comment on is that VCH is not going to approve us to not to do anything about this system. We are responsible toward the VCH to make this water safe for the community. And these steps that we are taking is the municipality steps. I will refer to Ross and see if you guys take ownership of the water system, they would accept it. I've never seen it in any community that the health authorities let that happen. They need some like municipality level responsibility and accountability toward this safe drinking water for the community. But yeah, if you want to chime in, Ross, I really appreciate that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like Garrett said, it's not really something that I would think is feasible. I mean, really, you'd want to install like a whole home type carbon filter type system. So you don't, not just like a under the kitchen sink, which would take care of, water that you're drinking and cooking with and that kind of stuff. But there's other routes of exposure for disinfection byproducts, like in the bath and the shower and that kind of thing. So you'd want to make sure that all the water going through your system is being treated and having disinfection byproducts lowered. So installing like a whole home treatment system is possible, but there is a fair amount of maintenance, I think, that would happen on these from, and how long the carbon lasts is also a question, and it will be different depending on if we have a homeowner that is there year round and there's 5 members in the household using lots of water versus a seasonally used cabin that has 1 or 2 people there for a couple months in the summer kind of things. And even trying to determine when those carbon filters have stopped providing effective treatment would take testing on each individual house to see if that's working or not. So, it's something I think individual homeowners should consider perhaps installing for, a short-term period. I mean, it's unknown at this point exactly how long it'll take for the treatment system to be where I think we all want it. But if individuals have evaluated the risk and decide that they want to do that, I mean, there's obviously no problem with individual homeowners taking that on themselves. But I think for the municipality to do it, it's not really the best solution in my view.
Okay, William has his hand up.
Thank you. And I'm sorry to take the conversation in a different direction, but I did want to ask regarding the firefighting element to this project that was mentioned earlier, where we may not have adequate water. Is that part of the scope of the work that's going to be done? Is, sort of flushing that out in terms of what the water supply looks like and how adequate it is to deal with a fire? Or is
yes,
that a
for sure.
Yeah.
No, this is going to be part of the RFP that we are going to put out there, because this is a very important part towards taking the community to the next level of the resiliency.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Of course.
If I can add something, I'm sorry, I don't know where my hand up sign is. The water tank, this is to answer the last question. The water tank that was built many years ago was designed for 2 halves, and we built the first half, and the second half has never been built. And I need correction, but we've connected to the adjoining water system, and I thought that we could draw water from the adjacent water system if there were a fire that we couldn't handle with the tank we have. Can anyone answer that, please?
So, Thomas, this study has been done by Urban System, and they looked at the fire and the need of the community to fight fire if there is an emergency. I don't have background information about what has been decided previously. What I have seen so far, there is a connection between the Eagle Cliffs water system and your system. However, if the Eagle Cliff system is going to be connected to the Grafton Lake. So I don't know what was the source of water from the Eagle Cliff coming to the Hood Point. I have to go and do a little bit of research on that and see what source of water, if it is coming from the Eagle Cliff source, or it's going to be connected to, at the end of the day, connected to the Grafton Lake. Because the Eagle Cliff system is going to be switched to the Grafton Lake, and whatever water source that we have there is going to be decommissioned.
I can speak a little bit to that, Sarah.
Yeah, sure.
There was a cross connection put in between Eagle Cliff and Hood Point, and I think I'm correct in saying there was a fire one time in Eagle Cliff, and they realized that they were short on fire protection. So I believe that jumper was put in originally for Eagle Cliff from Hood Point to help them out. Turns out more often than not, due to freezing conditions on the water main and hood point, in the winter time, it also serves as a jumper meter or a jumper line sending water from Eagle Cliff to hood point. So yes, there is a possibility to pull water from Eagle Cliff. However, it's only a 2-inch pipe. So if you've got firemen pulling, 8 to 6-inch water main of water, and you're trying to feed it through a 2-inch pipe, it'll give a little bit of a backup supply, but the main source is going to be pulling from that tank for sure. And I know, Tom, last time you even asked if there was a bypass that we could open up and just have a straight feed coming from the lake in a total emergency situation, if we had a forest fire starting and we needed. I'm not sure if there's a bypass. I looked at a very old drawing and I thought, oh, there is a potential bypass here. It would be a coastal health nightmare to have to open up that raw water source. But in an emergency, if there is a bypass, it's an option. You'd have to disinfect the whole water system after that and purge it all out.
But to put a fire out, that's worth it.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I'd agree. I just want to make sure that these drawings that I looked at, which are very old, if that's actually true, if there actually is a bypass there.
As long as we're communicating, one thing that has been brought up by the committee in the past, there was one junction just above the location where freezing starts in the Hood Point water system is always one. It's currently in a plywood container close to the water system. And we were going to look into ways of insulating that so it didn't start the freeze system. Was that ever done, Garrett?
Yeah, we've got several. Actually, what we have is a couple flush points. I know Andrew Stone quite well, and he used to look after the system for years. And what he would do is in the wintertime, he would run several flush points just to keep the water moving. That's fine until we get a -13 wind chill for 4 or 5 days, and we've even seen the water coming out of those gate valves freeze. We've been fortunate this year because we haven't seen any serious freezing. In the past, we've gotten away with, so one problem is if you run all your valves, it takes away all the head pressure coming from the lake. And the pressure reducing valve in the treatment shed needs the backup pressure to push the water up to the tank. So it was a fine line of how much water can I pull down to stop it from freezing, at the same time having enough pressure to fill the tank. We seem to have found a balance, and more importantly than anything is that 1-inch line that is right outside the treatment shed in that cluster that you're talking about. There's a box there of valves that's all insulated. It's got heat trace on it. Last year, we realized by running that one pipe, and we used to do it every winter, that 1-inch line, if that keeps flowing and we have one valve open up top. So we've been lucky with the freezing. Let's put it that way. Especially this year, obviously, we haven't had a cold snap, but we found ways to, let's say, mitigate the freezing a little bit more. And we can try one more thing to start bringing down the organic levels a little bit. I'm just going to say that now, and that would be periodically doing more flushing on your supply line. It may yield a result, but we're still pulling the same water through. All we're doing is cleaning the pipe. There's 3 dump valves on the way down. Instead of flushing twice a year, we could do it 4 times a year. So you hit those 3 valves, you dump whatever you got out of your supply line. If that's going to change the water coming down the pipe, I mean, we could try it for a year and see what happens. And if we see the same result in THMs, then we're not neglecting the situation. We did meet with engineers. I went through the shed with them. They took photos. They tried to see how they could get everything in that one building. They looked at some kind of a coagulant system and then removing it. The problem is it has to go into a pressurized tank. When we're taking gravity water and charging it through they wanted an open vessel. I said, we can't do an open vessel. We can't have the water coming in an enclosed pipe, pressurizing it, putting it into an open vessel container, cleaning the filters, and then shooting it back up. So then they said, well, you're going to need another building. Okay, so now we need to expand the building. Well, and look at the existing infrastructure. So there's a lot of conversations that kept coming from the next conversation about, do we have the room here? How long is this building going to last? Look at this electrical work. No electrician is going to want to touch this or sign off on it. So that's where we are now, looking at replacing this entire building, doing an add-on, So like Sarah said, it's not like we're not going for the Taj Mahal. Nobody wants to hit anybody with a $2.5 million ticket, but in the long term, resilience, if that is the only possibility, let's do a couple pilots, see what the options are available. I don't know what to tell you. We're trying to look at other options here.
Thank you.
Okay, so I feel as though the questions that were typed into the comments have largely been addressed. Ross spoke about home solutions to reduce the immediate risk. We've talked about the connection with Eagle Cliff. There is a question here asking how do the proposed options address the actual capacity of the water reservoir? Is someone?
So that water reservoir is going to be a long-term plan. It's not going to be something that we are going to address through this project. But the reason that I mentioned it is that we need to look into what is needed for the water system in your community. The above ground water supply is not good. Like, we cannot continue doing this for a long term. The other one, the reservoir. These are big ticket items, but they are not our priority. I only mentioned that option there to just so you know, this is where the system is sitting, and we might need to start accumulating money in the reserve to address them in long term.
Hi, it's Carol again. I had a couple of questions. I know how many houses, how many properties are currently part of this water system?
So as far as I know, is 98.
Yeah,
So this is what we put in our financial planning utilities.
Okay, because I know that it was definitely more than 85. And the other question, so this would be the properties that are in Hood Point. I also understand that the water from Honeymoon Lake goes to the other side, not Hood Point. Does that have its own treatment plant? Like, I'm presuming it doesn't come to this treatment plant and then go back to the other side of Honeymoon Lake.
I think you're correct.
No,
Garrett,
Eagle
did you
Cliff
hear
has
that?
its own source, and
Yeah.
it gets chlorinated and UV treatment.
So we've got
Carol,
Yeah.
the lake was licensed to us, Hood Point, starting in 1923. And we, Hood Point, in the specified area, we hold all the licenses on the lake. The province came in and measured how much capacity there was, and we hold the licenses for the full capacity, which is over 100 houses. No one else draws from the lake other than, I don't know if you're aware of it, but Honeymoon Lake flows, there's a water source, it's quite high up.
I've been
Garrett
there.
Yeah, okay, so there's a creek called Honeymoon Creek that flows down to the sea year round,
Where
and
it's an overspill during the winter.
the summer.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, obviously
And
you want to keep it no higher than a certain level. I understand that.
and it flows down, and there are, Garrett, 15 creek users that live at the bottom of the creek by the sea, and they too utilize water that flows from Honeymoon Lake. But those are we and they are the only users. There's no other user, and we are very protective of our licenses and don't want other users on the lake because
Okay.
we're at capacity.
Thanks for the clarification, Tom, because I've had somebody I've encountered on the island who says, oh, well, we're using water from Honeymoon Lake and people are never remembering about us too, blah, blah. So that clarifies that it's coming from from a creek that only flows if if the lake is going to go above that level of not getting even more biological stuff going in.
But there, just to be very clear, Steve and I have been out to Surrey where all the water licensing used to be, it may still be, and there were half a dozen licenses that I don't know if you'd call it the other side, but they were not in the two communities I just spoke of. So whoever was speaking may be telling the truth, but it isn't much water.
I'm just
The
also concerned
licenses,
about the time. Sorry, Tom. Things are cut off at 1 o'clock because if there is a $25,000, if we averaged over that amount over Hood Point residences, it's roughly $23,000 to $25,000. How should Hood Pointers be expected to incur that through taxes? Is it over a 5-year, 10-year? That's ultimately that's really important thing for people to understand.
Yeah, those are all choices that would be made because if we do incur debt to do this project, it's still subject to approval by the property owners within the local service area. So having those options, how long do you want to pay it over? Those questions are all going to be part of the conversation.
Thank you.
Kristen, while you're in the hot seat, do you see there's a question in the chat from Sue? Are you able to confirm? It's the most recent regarding how many users are paying for the.
Yeah, there's 98 connected properties and one of them pays a double fee for an accessory building on the property. And then there's a few more undeveloped properties that are also included in the service area, but they don't pay user fees. They do pay the parcel tax though.
Okay, there's another question. Is extending the Eagle Cliff infrastructure being constructed now an option?
I don't understand the question.
I think they're asking, there's a connection, if it's possible to extend the connection that's currently taking place between Cove Bay and Eagle Cliff, perhaps?
Oh, defeating Hood Point as well, you mean?
Yeah.
There is no decision has been made about it, and it was not part of the options.
Can I ask that question? Is that okay? I know that we have 1 minute.
It's okay.
It's Sue Fairburn, and we are the first house on Hood Point. We pay double water. I don't know why. There's 3 adults that live at the house, and that's it. But that's another conversation I'll take up at the Muni. And I was just wondering, so the Eagle Cliff will continue, and it, that will come up to a certain point, and I guess it's just before our property. That's life. But it seems that we're looking at the Hood Point community is looking at a very large investment without I guess a good long-term solution. So I think there's a much bigger conversation. So I appreciate all the efforts that you've made and all the efforts that are being made to consider all the possibilities. And I look forward to the results of the pilot study and what might work going forward. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I don't see anybody else with their hand up right now. It is 1 o'clock. If people do have follow-up questions, though, I'm just going to type in the chat the email address that you can send those questions to. That actually will reach all of us. It'll reach me, it'll reach Sarah, it'll reach Kristen, it'll reach Garrett and Annette as well. And so if you have questions, if you go away, have a think and come up with some questions, please feel free to forward them straight through to that email address. The other thing I shared was a link to subscribe to receive the water information emails that we send out. You can subscribe to receive like a weekly e-newsletter, which contains all kinds of information. And you can also subscribe to receive only things that are specific to Hood Point Water District as well. So I would recommend signing up for both. And I think that's it. Unless anybody, Kristen, Sarah, do you have anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for all your answers. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cara.
Bye-bye.
Bye.